Keselowski is now expected to become a driver/co-owner for Roush Fenway Racing, and Greg Biffle is going to be racing in the SRX later this year. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. We got a lot of NASCAR stories to discuss here today on the channel. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. We got a lot of paint scheme news to start off with first. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into those very quickly. The first paint scheme we're going to be taking a look at is Harrison Burton's 2021 Morton building scheme that we are going to see later this year in Kansas as a tribute to Jeff Burton later this year in the Kansas playoff race. Very solid scheme, in my opinion. I believe this is the first time the Morton Builds is sponsor Harrison Burton this year. Really awesome to see they're going to be set up to play. I think they did a very solid job on this paint scheme overall, and it's definitely great to see that Morton Buildings is coming in and sponsoring Harrison Burton. I really like this tribute paint scheme a lot. They did a very solid job on this paint scheme, in my honest opinion. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Jeremy Clements' 2021 Tail Smokeless scheme that we're going to see this weekend here at Circuit of the Americas. I do like this paint scheme a lot, and I also think it's really awesome that Jeremy Clements continues to pick up brands and sponsors over this couple weeks. He just signed a sponsor not that long ago to sponsor Moffitt. It's great to see that more sponsors continue to step up to plate and sponsor Jeremy Clements. Really exciting news for sure. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Bailey Curry's 2021 Jasco's Constructor scheme that we're going to see in the Truck Series this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. Very solid scheme, my opinion. I like the gray on the truck a lot. I think it's really cool to see that Chasco's is coming up and partnering up with Bailey Curry. Really cool to see that. And I'm definitely looking forward to see this truck on the racetrack at Circuit of the Americas. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Ryan Truex' 2021 Freightliner scheme that we're going to see this weekend in the Truck Series at Circuit of the Americas. In my opinion, it's kind of a little bit of a boring scheme. It's cool that Freightliner's partnering up. In my opinion, I'm not as big and keen on the Freightliner schemes. I usually think the Freightliner schemes are generally boring. This one's kind of boring, to be honest with you. It's not a bad scheme overall, but it's a little bit boring, to be honest with you. I expected more, but it is cool that Freightliner is jumping out of the Truck Series and sponsoring Ryan Truex later this year. Really awesome news, though, on that front. And now we're going to jump on to the next paint scheme. We're going to talk about AJJ Almondinger's 2020 Pit Boss Girl scheme that we will see this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. This is personally one of my favorite paint schemes that has come out this year so far. It is beautiful. The yellow number is really cool. The flames on the car look awesome. The black looks really awesome on the car. They did an excellent and awesome job on this paint scheme. And I'm definitely looking forward to see this one on the racetrack. And maybe we will see this in Victory since AJJ Almondinger is really good at road courses. We might be able to see him have a shot at winning races here and might be able to win at this paint scheme. And now we're going to jump on to the next paint scheme. We're going to talk about Johnny Sauter's 2020 AHI Facility Service scheme that we'll see this weekend at Circuit Americas. Not much really say here. It's kind of similar to all the other paint schemes that Johnny Sauter's had. In my opinion, I think Johnny Sauter's had kind of some plain ones. He's had some good ones this year. I think this one's kind of in the middle of that. It's cool that AHI is stepping up to plate and sponsoring Johnny Sauter. Really cool there. It's just kind of plain, though, in my honest opinion. I really don't know how much to say about it. That's just my honest opinion on that. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Kevin Harvick's 2020 Mobile 1000 campaign scheme that we will see this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. I believe they're doing a campaign for this, if I'm not mistaken, for I think every 1,000 fans. They're doing some sort of campaign, if I'm not mistaken. Really cool they're doing a campaign. What I've liked about Mobile 1 this year, and a lot about what Kevin Harvick sponsors, is they've been getting involved in its activation with the sponsors. I like what they're doing with Kevin Harvick. I think it's really cool that Kevin Harvick is going to have Mobile 1 in the car. Again, he's had Mobile 1 quite a few times this year. Great to see the Mobile 1 is partnering up with him. It's gold scheme as well, which I really do like this paint scheme a lot as well, by the way. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Brad Keselowski's 2021 Thomas Built Bus scheme that we are going to see this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. Very solid scheme, in my honest opinion. Brad Keselowski, when he runs the black schemes, they look really cool. I think the scheme looks definitely really awesome for sure. And definitely looking forward to see this one at racetrack. Maybe we'll saw Brad Keselowski get some momentum back this weekend. Hoping his crew chief does come back. But hopefully he does very well. Saw an awesome paint scheme, in my honest opinion. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Michael McDowell's 2021 Out West Express scheme that we are going to see this weekend here at Circuit of the Americas. This also is a partnership with Love's Travel Stops. Very solid scheme, in my opinion. I like the color scheme of it a lot. Looks really cool. Michael McDowell's had some really awesome paint scheme games overall this year. I really like the paint scheme a lot. And definitely we're going to see this one out on the racetrack at Circuit of the Americas. The next paint scheme we are going to go ahead and take a look at is Brett Moffitt's 2020 Sokol scheme that we are going to see this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. The one thing I actually do really like it, I'm usually a fan of the door numbers being centered on the doors, but if you had to move the numbers forward, I would not be mad about that. I think this looks really cool with the number moved forward a little bit. Just my honest opinion on that. I think that it's a little boring, but the one thing that makes the car intriguing is the fact they have the number moved forward a little bit. I think that's a really good touch and really cool that they're doing that. It's very intriguing for sure, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this car on the racetrack because I think it looks pretty awesome in my honest opinion. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Justin Haley's 2021 FOE Patriotic Scheme that we are going to see at next weekend at the Coca-Cola 600. Really solid scheme, my honest opinion. I like the patriotic colors a lot. The red number is really cool. Among other things, the white looks really cool. I expect a lot of these patriotic schemes look really cool for the weekend. This one looks really awesome, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack at Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600. And the final paint scheme we're going to talk about is a really cool paint scheme that we're talking about today. We're talking about Jo Martens. As Jo Martens is partnering up with a YouTuber to sponsor this week, I believe this weekend, at Circuit America, actually at Charlotte later this year, they're partnering up with Super Mega Show and sponsoring that weekend at Charlotte. For a lot of y'all who don't know, Super Mega Show is a channel that has about 900,000 subscribers, 888,000 subscribers. So they are a massive, and apparently they are NASCAR fans as well. So it's really cool to see this. This definitely shocked a lot of people that Super Mega Show was going to be partnering up and sponsoring a NASCAR car. We've seen other YouTubers partner up and other companies, like on the online side of things, that have partnered up. I think that's awesome to see that a big YouTube channel, pretty solid sized YouTube channel as well, with nearly 900 subscribers coming in and sponsoring. I think this will definitely bring some new fans to sport, especially fans from that channel that have really never seen it before. The video they did also was really cool. I think they called Jo Martens sexy from the video, so that was really cool to see. But yeah, this definitely really shocked me and surprised me. Really cool to see that Super Mega Show is partnering up with Jo Martens. I'm really happy for him for sure, and great to see a Super Mega Show is going to be partnering up with Jo Martens later this year. And now we're going to jump onto all the other major stories we need to discuss here on today's channel. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. The first story we're going to talk about is Andy Lally. As Andy Lally is going to be commentating in the NASCAR Truck Series race alongside Michael Waltrip and Vince Walsh. Alongside racing this weekend in the NASCAR Xfinity Series for our Motorsports in the number 23 car, he will be commentating this weekend in the Truck Series. I'm very intrigued to see how Andy Lally is going to do because Andy Lally, of course, has a lot of road course experience, so he's going to be able to give a lot of knowledge. And I'm very intrigued to see if he can help the booth as well. Because let's be for real, the Truck Series booth absolutely is not that good. Michael Waltrip does the best he can. I just think Vince Walsh is absolutely boring. I think at times Vince Walsh can be good, but I think Vince Walsh is most of the time absolutely boring. And I don't expect the broadcast booth to be great, but I think that Andy Lally will come in there and overall help the broadcast booth. Good to see that Andy Lally is going to be getting his first gig. I believe this is one of the first times he's ever had a gig as a commentator. I'm very intrigued to see how he's going to do, and hopefully this will give him some luck in the Xfinity Series race. Sometimes you get the luck in Xfinity, the races in the booth, you can go out there and run very well, especially since our motorsports cars are very fast. As I'm currently editing today's video, it was just announced that Roush Fenway Racing has made a big move in the sponsorship front. It was announced today that they have signed Fastenal as an anchor sponsor of the number 17 through the 2024 season. So they've renewed through the 2024 season. That means that they have extended their sponsorship with Fastenal. It's really good to see that Roush is continuing to keep some of the brands they've gotten. They've got a lot of new brands over the last couple of years, and it's really awesome to see that they're continuing to pick up brands, and it's really good to see that they're renewing with the brands that they have. You know about the Fastenal curse, of course, but I think it's really cool to see a Fastenal. Fastenal's been with Roush for a very long time. I think around since like 2011 or 2012, they've been sponsoring Roush Fenway racing cars, and they're continuing to sponsor. I think that this definitely is really exciting for sure. I think it's definitely could help in the conversation in regards to that's something we talked about today, but really intriguing for sure that Fastenal is coming on and extending their sponsorship. I wonder how many races each year they're going to be sponsoring. That's one thing I've had a big question toward. But yeah, very intriguing that they're going to be sponsoring. Really cool to see if Fastenal is going to continue to sponsor Roush Fenway Racing. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Wallace Allen. As Wallace Allen is going to be racing the number 34 truck for Raymond Brothers at Circuit Americas. I believe this is the second time that Wallace Allen has raced here. I believe he raced at the Daytona Road Course earlier this year and had decent success. He's raced in the Truck Series in the past, and he's raced a lot of his career on the road course as well. So he does have a lot of road course experience. That being said, I'm not really expecting too much for Wallace Allen. And the reason is not because I think Wallace Allen absolutely is a bad race car driver. The Ranger Brothers trucks are absolutely not that great, to be honest with you. They only really have speed on the super speedway tracks. And to me, I really don't think it's going to make a lot of sense for him to run up front. Well, I think he has a chance running up front, maybe, but I really don't think he's going to run up front. I think he's absolutely going to struggle this weekend. I don't think he's going to run up front. And he's going to have to qualify in a race as well. So I don't believe this car really has a lot of, actually, I think it's like 28 for 29 owners points. So I think this car definitely has a lot of owners points. So that's not going to be the issue going forward. But hopefully they can perform very well and at least have a shot at maybe getting a top 30. We'll have to watch what happens. But yeah, definitely intriguing that Wallace Allen is going to be racing at Circuit Americas for the Ray Brothers. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode as we're talking about Justin Haley. As Justin Haley has been medically cleared to return and drive the number 11 for Colleague Racing at Circuit Americas. A lot of you don't know the story. Justin Haley did not race this weekend in the Cup Series race or the Xfinity Series race because of COVID-19 protocols. He did not contract COVID-19. Apparently, someone close to him had contracted it in his team, and he basically was told not to race. That's the reason why Zane Smith drove the 11 car from this past weekend, and Josh Ray made his NASCAR Cup Series debut in the 77. Great to see that Justin Haley's coming back. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of Justin Haley overall, Justin Haley I think is a very, very solid and very talented driver. He's done pretty good on the road courses too, by the way. He's definitely an underdog this weekend, in my honest opinion. And I think he'll definitely make up all the points he lost over weekend. He probably didn't lose too many points to the cutoff, considering some of the guys that are closer to that playoff grounds really did not do that well this weekend, let's be honest. So I do think he'll have a shot of running up front, at least contending. I think he has a shot for top 10 this weekend. Really awesome that he's coming back this weekend, and he's going to be racing it. Was disappointed that he could not race earlier this year, and great to see that he will be once again returning this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the first of two major stories in today's episode, as we are talking about the SRX. As the SRX has announced more ringers for the 2021 season. So, there are three drivers that are going to be joining the SRX. The first one is going to be, you guessed it, Greg Biffle. Greg Biffle is going to be racing in two races in the SRX this year at Stafford and Slinger early in the year. Scott Speed, that's a name you haven't heard of in a while, is going to be racing in Eldora and at Indianapolis Raceway Park. And Scott Bloomquist is going to be racing at Knoxville. We know how good Greg Biffle is. He's been racing for a long time in the world. He won a championship in trucks, I believe, in 2000, if I'm not mistaken, and he won an Xfinity Series championship in 2002, alongside winning around 19 Cup Series races, including 5 or 6 of them in the 2005 season. He also has recently raced in the Truck Series for Kyle Busch Motorsports when he won there in 2019, and 2020 drove for GMS, and he's talking about maybe wanting to run some Truck Series races later this year, potentially for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Greg Biffle is back, though. That's awesome. The second driver, Scott Speed. Scott Speed is one of the best racers in rallycross. We know how good he is in the global rallycross side of things, and he has raced in NASCAR in the past. He raced in NASCAR from around 2007, 2008, up to about 2013, 2014 is when he raced in NASCAR. A lot of time was racing at Red Bull's development program. 2008, he won quite a few races in the ARCA Series and almost won the championship that year. 2009, he won his first, I think it's 2008 or 2009, he won his first ever Truck Series race in the 22 for Red Bull. And now he's getting an opportunity to race in this. This is definitely a good opportunity for him. Scott Bloomquist, one of the greatest late model drivers of all time. He's been racing in the World of Outlaws late model series. Definitely great to see him come in. The fact, though, that Greg Biffle is coming back in racing, we've talked about it. Greg Biffle has said he wants to come back and race at some point, is really, really awesome news for sure. Great to see all three of these guys coming back for sure. But Greg Biffle coming out of retirement and racing once again is definitely really, really awesome. And that's a big question. Is Greg Biffle going to at some point race in NASCAR this year because he's racing at SRX? Well, he's not running the full entire schedule. He's only running 2 races. So I think it's absolutely possible that Greg Biffle could come back to NASCAR because we talked about a week or two ago that Greg Biffle is still interested in racing in NASCAR in the Truck Series. And I definitely think that he will get to do that. He's not going to want to run full-time, and he's not running full-time in the SRX. There's a chance he was going to run full-time, which really disappoints. Honestly, I wish he was running full-time in the SRX, but I think with all the seats filled up earlier this year, that was something that was going to be a problem. But you got some superstars right now. You got a couple people that are really good. And I think Greg Biffle and these guys could have a shot of at least contending. Scott Bloomquist definitely will have a shot at winning Knoxville for sure. I think definitely Scott Speed will have speed at some of these tracks. And I definitely think Greg Biffle is going to have a lot of speed. And he can honestly win both his races. He's been pretty competitive in NASCAR. So we'll have to watch what happens. But this is definitely really awesome to see that Greg Biffle is going to be coming back. And he will be racing in the SRX later this year. And now we're going to go and jump on to the final story of today's episode. As remember when we talked about yesterday how the fact that he had been offered the opportunity to go over to Roush Fenway Racing and own and become a co-owner / driver? Well, it looks like that deal is expected to be completed. According to Bob Pockers from NASCAR Advice, he says that the deal is pretty much concluded at this point, and it's expected that Brad Keselowski is going to be moving over to Roush Fenway Racing to be a co-owner / driver for the organization in 2022. The team is expected to be called Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing, and he will drive the number 6 car. We talked about this yesterday, how Brad Keselowski has had some tension in the past at Team Penske. We'll start off with that. What are the reasons why Brad Keselowski might be leaving Team Penske? First of all, Team Penske's had struggles over there. First thing, he and Joey Logano have had feuds. You've seen how they really don't like each other. I think there's a lot of toxicity going on over that organization, at least for sure, between him and, of course, him and Joey Logano. And then, of course, losing his main crew chief that he had, Paul Wolfe, for a long time, really didn't help, even though him and Jeremy Bones gel very, very well. I think losing Paul Wolfe and making him move over to Joey Logano really hurt him overall. Another thing that came out in the article that Bob Pockers wrote is apparently he was supposed to text the next-gen car a couple weeks ago, but they denied it and gave it to Ryan Blaney. So I think that Team Penske has been trying to maybe at some point get rid of him, even though I think they've tried to get a deal. What I'm also assuming is that if they wanted to sign him, he wanted the longer deal, they maybe were only going to sign him to a one-year deal because, of course, you have Austin Cindric who's coming up to the Cup Series next year, and they were probably only going to sign him to 1 year in the 2022 season, and Brad probably wanted a longer deal. I think that this move absolutely makes a lot of sense. You look at Brad Keselowski, he's around 36, 37, but he does have a lot of ownership experience. You look back at his BKR organization, Brad Keselowski Racing in the Truck Series, and it brought a lot of guys from the Truck Series up to the Cup Series. Ross Chastain, who drives for Chip Ganassi Racing. Tyler Reddick, a two-time NASCAR Xfinity Series champion who drove for RCR, currently drives for RCR as a matter of fact. Daniel Hemrick, who currently drives for JGR. Austin Cindric, who is going to be racing at Team Penske at some point in a couple years races. He was a 2020 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion. The list of drivers that have raced over the organization is a long-growing list of drivers who've come out of there and been extremely successful. Also, Austin Terrio, who drove over there as well. So he's had a lot of drivers. So he does have a lot of ownership experience. So this is not the first time that he's been an owner of an organization. The second thing, he's been owning a manufacturing company over the years, and he said he wants to at some point become an owner. Well, they've doubled their size at that manufacturing company, so that makes a lot of sense right over there. So what happens now with Keselowski basically taking over the 6th? I personally think that Ryan Newman is going to be out at the 6th car, and I think he's going to be retired. Ryan Newman is around 44 to 45 years old. We talked about this yesterday. Ryan Newman is a lot older of a race car driver. And we don't know how much longer Ryan Newman is honestly going to want to run. Let's be honest. Ryan Newman is a lot older of a driver, and it's not sure and not certain how much longer Ryan Newman is going to want to run. And he's the second oldest Cup Series driver, so I really think Ryan Newman is probably going to retire at the end of this year. And maybe Chris Buescher comes back. We'll have to see what happens over there at Roush Fenway Racing. The other question is, what's going to happen with Team Penske? Because with the 2 being vacant, there's 2 options I think Team Penske is going to have. So who's going to go to the 2 car and who's going to go over to the 21 car? So I see this or happening. I see either a swap going on. So first thing, I think the big one, Matty D could end up at the 2 because they have an option with him for the next year. I think it's going to be someone in the Penske front who's going to end up at that 2 car. Matty D has an option for 2022. He's been really solid. He's been fantastic this year, but he's been solid overall, and I think he wouldn't be the best driver. I think it would be a downgrade definitely for sure for Team Penske if they brought him in instead of Brad Keselowski, but it would definitely be a downgrade. But Matt DiBenedetto is also a guy that struggles with sponsors, but I think Penske overall does have funding. And Austin would go over to 21, would go to the Wood Brothers 1 year, and they move Austin over. Or what could end up happening, and this would be crazy, why not move Austin Cindric to the 2 in a Team Penske Corporation and then move Matty D and keep Matty D in your 21 organization? That's definitely another move that could happen. But back overall on Brad Keselowski and stuff, I think this is the right time to do it. And I don't think Brad Keselowski is going to be 100% competitive right away. I think Brad Keselowski is definitely going to struggle. Well, not struggle, but Brad Keselowski is not going to be a championship contender right away. I think he's going to contend for top 15s, top 10s. Roush Fenway Racing overall has definitely been improving over the last year or two. We've seen them take some major improvements. 2020, they absolutely struggled. I think a lot of it was from the Ryan Newman crash. But both drivers currently in the top 20 points, and Chris Buescher has had some very strong races. They made some moves over there at Roush Fenway Racing. You look at guys like LeBron James coming over and being a part owner of the Fenway Group, and Jimmy Fenning going back to the other side there. You also have some other things that have been going on over there. There's a partnership that's coming up very, very soon that is going to get announced. So you have that going on at the same time. Brad Keselowski's at a perfect age, and the next gen car is another thing where it's going to level the playoff field, and I think Roush just needs that little bit of stuff to catch up. I think the next gen car will provide that gap to make up, and I think that they could be a solid organization. Like I said, I don't expect Brad Keselowski to be extremely fast right away, but I think Keselowski definitely will have speed. I really, really think he will, and I think he's going to show a lot of speed this year. We're going to have to watch what happens in the silly season, but man, Brad Keselowski going to Roush Fenway Racing is definitely interesting. The deal is expected to happen very, very soon, and I'm definitely excited for that going forward. So, anyway, that is going to be for today's NASCAR news video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications, see me notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Link description below for that, and comment your thoughts on today's video. What are your thoughts about Brad Keselowski expected to go to Roush Fenway Racing, and how well do you think it will run next year? Let me know in the comments below. And what are your thoughts about all the other NASCAR stories we discussed today on the channel? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content. Take care, everybody.